Hello, hello, hello. Hopefully everything went off smoothly. I was trying to be all fancy with my live stream intro thing. And I think it worked. So hopefully you guys can hear me all right. Can you let me know if the volume is solid? And hey, I'm so glad to see all of you guys. Here we got Ben in the house. Let's see. Is it doing the it's not throwing up my chats. I'm doing something wrong. Thank you, Ben. Let's see if I can figure out how to throw these up on the screen. There we go. Boom. Volume is good. Hey, we're doing well. Okay, let's see here. Man, I'm already getting questions. Is there a way to remove previously saved title effects, presets, and stuff? That is a great question. And wow, it just blew it up on the screen here. Let's shrink that down. So this is basically going to just be a fun Q&A session. It can be Apple Motion, Final Cut Pro, what apps I'm using, all that stuff. So if you have a question, it does help a ton if you put a Q colon, and that just, helps me mentally gauge if it's a question or not. So yeah, let's go ahead and let's start this off. Let me switch over. Check this out. I got a little Stream Deck button thing on the iPad, which is fun. So yeah, let's go ahead and take a quick look at this first question from Jetty, and solid gap golf. I will get to your question as well too. That one's a little bit more involved. So I'll just start off light here. So basically, if you want to remove a saved preset, for example, like I have this teal S-Logs tutorial one down here, you can right click on it and then select reveal in Finder, and that will give you a list of all the saved effects presets you have. So if you want to delete one, you just go ahead, do command delete or drag it to the trash, and that will remove it from Final Cut Pro. Something you should know though is if you don't quit Final Cut Pro, it's going to show up here as missing. So just quit Final Cut Pro, come back in, and you should be good to go. So yeah, that is how you can delete an effects preset. And let me take a look here through my list. Starting off strong. There's a lot of you already. Thank you guys for stopping by. Let me see here. Scrolling through, James Wells says 5x5. Oh, is that the Stream Deck you have? I just have it on the iPad, so I've got the free one because I'm cheap. Let's see. Andy Lippy is asking, hey Dylan, love the channel. I was wanting to know what's the easiest, cleanest method for moving around a desktop screen for making tutorials, like zooming in and panning smoothly. Andy Lippy, I have a great plugin for you. I'm going to self-plug my my ProZooms. So basically ProZooms, I can jump inside of my titles here, and this also works as an effect. So I have my ProZoom title. I'll just drag that onto the timeline. That's going to give me this rectangle, and I can choose where I want to zoom in on the screen. So we could zoom in on this island. And if I push play, just like that, I've already auto-animated a zoom. I can also back out here a little bit by dragging on the corners. I can move this around to wherever I need to on the screen. And it's just really nice and smooth. And if I wanted to pan to the bottom right, I could use Pro Pan. And you're going to want to drag this underneath the Pro Zoom. So it always has to lie underneath the Pro Zoom for this to work properly. It's just a way that Final Cut Pro works. So now that we've done that, we've got another on-screen control. I can click and drag that to the bottom right. So we zoom into the top left, we go to the bottom right, super fancy. And then at the end, if you want them to zoom out at the same time, you just make them the same length. And just like that, they'll zoom out. Super handy, also works directly as an effects preset, which is amazing because that means you can have it work great with transitions. It just opens up a lot of opportunity. You can apply it with a draw mask and stuff will pop out. Super cool. So there's all of that. There's also the Pro Burns, which is if you want a zoom longer than say 2 seconds. The Pro Burns is just a zoom. It's kind of like the if we go inside of the cropping tool, it's kind of like Ken Burns in here, which is thus the name, and now it's not showing up. There it is, Ken Burns, which is great. Green box, red box. The green box zooms into the red box, but the problem with that is you can't set it for specific lengths of time, so you're stuck to whatever the length of your shot is. Whereas my Pro Burns tool works for the length of the title, so if you want to have a really short zoom, you can shrink that way down. It'll be a much faster zoom. Or way longer. There's a whole bunch more into this. I do have several tutorials on my channel for if you look up smooth zooming, that'll get you set up. So I've taken way too long on that. There is a link to that in the description of the live stream. Let me keep on scrolling through. Ben is asking, you ever batch processed adding a watermark to a bunch of photos in Compressor? That is an interesting question, Ben. I have not. Oh, wait, I should have done this. Boom. So I have not tried that with photos. That is a great question. Unfortunately, I don't have a bunch of photos lined up to test that. That would be really great to check into. Jacob Spilker is asking what kind of editing work I do when I'm not working on YouTube stuff. Well, now most of my life is YouTube, but occasionally I'll take on projects that sound really fun to me. It's really the best of all the worlds. I get to do a dream job, and then I get to choose the projects that are super fun to me. So typically, I'm usually editing live stage performances. And a large part of that is because my wife is a ballet dancer, and so I get to film all of their shows, and then I get to edit them together, and they've also let me go a little bit more creative with that, and we get to do more story-driven, narrative, little short video segments between the dances, which is really fun. So I get to really flex my creativity. So that's a major part of what I do outside of YouTube. But I also do stuff like next week I'll be flying over to Spain to film a conference. It's a big conference for, I'm just going to say, nerds, people that really like cloud computing, stuff like that. It's sponsored by Google and Amazon and stuff. And I'm a nerd as well, just in a different way. So, but I filmed that conference. And, it's really fun because I get to go to cool locations. So that's some of the stuff that I get to do outside of YouTube. Okay, let's see. I'm going to get up to Solid Gap Golf was asking if there's a way to do shot tracers for golf. Now, this is actually an extremely common question I get. So I'm going to try and do just a quick demo of this in motion. The problem is you're typically when you're dealing with shaky cameras, or the golf ball gets too small so you can't really track it. So there is a lot more manual work than what I would like, and it's frozen right now trying to open motion because I'm streaming and stuff. There we go. So there are a lot of issues when it comes to creating these tracers, so that following line that you see with golf balls. So there's more manual labor than I would like with it, but I'm going to show you two methods that you can do to create a tracer. So I'm going to go ahead and actually, it's put there we go. The project browser on the wrong page. There we go. So we'll open up this Motion project, and one way to create these tracers, I wish I had a golf shot. I don't. I'll just throw in a gradient really quick. Let's find my gradients. Let's see, generators and gradients. We'll drop that in. We'll go to our inspector. I'm going to choose my favorite one, which is icy blue, and I'll stretch this out. That way it looks a little bit prettier than having a big black screen. Okay, so one way you could do a golf ball tracer is to use the Bezier tool. And basically, I'll just create a point where the golf ball starts, and then I'll go to where the golf ball ends. And then I'll just click and drag, and you can drag that Bezier line to get it to follow the arc of the ball. So this is not going to be 100% perfect. This is much more of the camera tracking just didn't work at all, and I need a rough estimate of where the ball went. So once I've done that, I'll push enter. That's going to create this shape. Go ahead and just disable that fill line. So we now have this big ugly red line showing where the golf ball is going to. You could change the color if you want. It stands out against the background right now, so I'll just leave it as it is. But then from there, we could go over to the brush type, and I'll just change this over to airbrush. The airbrush is super cool because it gives me the ability to adjust the width of this line over its duration. And I'll go inside of the brush profile, and you'll see how it starts with this white and it goes down to black. That's just kind of the softness of the edge. So if you take a look here, you can see how soft this line is. What I can do is just get rid of the black part, and now we have a nice solid line. Then we can jump into the stroke settings and find this width over stroke option. So I'm going to click on that, and you'll see there's two dots here. And we'll just take the one on the left and drag that straight down, and you'll see how that shrinks it down. So now we have over the width of this line, we have a really small line, and it goes up to be really thick. We can go back to the style options and adjust the width according to our taste. But then if you want to animate this, you can find this last point offset option. So if I drag this, you'll see how that's animating along that line. So you could manually go in, add a keyframe, go forward in time, and then drag that up. And now that's going to animate through, which is great. You can adjust that to be the duration of however long your golf ball is going through the air. So that is one way you could create a tracer. But another way is by tracking in a particle emitter. So we'll go ahead, we'll delete that Bezier. And again, I don't have footage to show this. So I'm going to just do my best to kind of fake it, I guess. So I'll essentially create a small circle here, and we'll get rid of that hideous looking outline. Then with that white circle selected, we can go up to make particles, and that is now created just a whole barrage of particles for us to work with. But as we animate this emitter, these particles are going to fly off the emitter from wherever we move this emitter to. So what I mean by that is if we were to take the, essentially right now the birth rate is set to 30. I'll set that to, no, I'll leave that at 30. I'm sorry. I didn't fully prepare for this, but we'll take a look at, where's my speed option? There it is, speed, that's what I was looking for. So we'll take the speed and set that to 0. So now essentially, if I were to animate this emitter going across the screen, we'll go ahead and move this over. You'll see how it's creating particles in this line according to wherever the emitter is flying, which is really cool. So essentially what you would need to do is, we'll pretend this is the shot of our golf ball. We could take our emitter, go up to motion, basic motion behaviors, and then select motion tracking and do match move. And we could track the golf ball using this match move. We could change the type from, let's see, I want to change it over to, where is my option here? Oh, it's probably not working because I don't have real footage. But you can change it to be just a singular point track. If I had set this up properly, let's go into analyze motion. Let's see if I can find one. Nope, it might not work because I don't have actual footage. But essentially you can create a point track and track your ball with that point tracker, or you could also use the object tracker and then apply that onto this emitter that will follow the arc of your ball if you have a shot that this works with, and that will slowly draw on in space. But then you could go in and adjust stuff like the scale. You could animate this scale to start from nothing and go up to a large size. All that stuff to get that look that you want. You could change the coloring to colorize over life, so slowly over time it slowly fades down to a blue arc or something like that. Hopefully that makes sense. I wish I had footage to showcase that, but it's really taking a look at the emitter and attaching that with a motion tracker, or using that Bezier line method like I showed earlier. Anyway, that is essentially how you could do a golf tracer. Thank you for asking that question. Let's go ahead and scroll on down through here. Cooking with the Carols is asking, what's my favorite food or snack? Ooh, that's tricky. I'm a sucker for pizza. I'm just gonna I love all types of food, but man, pizza just wins. I'm one of the least picky people out there. So let's see. M and OJ was asking, hi Dylan, how to mute audio while curling footage? I'm not quite sure what curling means. Maybe you're talking scrolling through footage. Oh, cutting footage. There we go. Hey, backroom editor Ben is on it. So cutting footage, how to mute audio. Okay, there's a few ways you could do this. So if I take a look in Final Cut Pro, I've got all of these different shots. Now, if I know I am not going to need any of this audio down on the timeline, there are a few different ways we could work with this. One is I'm going to select all of these shots here, and oh, unfortunately they don't have any audio. We'll pretend that this music track, oh, here's a shot of me. So this shot has audio. Let's say I know for sure this shot is not going to have any audio. We can select it in our browser, go go over to the right side and locate the speaker, and you'll see that our audio configuration is here at the bottom. So we can go ahead and just disable those audio tracks, and now those audio tracks will not show up in our timeline. But if we want to later, we can re-enable them, which is nice to have. However, if you want just the video track, you don't want to bother disabling your audio over here on the right side, then what you can do is just, if you come to this menu here, you can click on this down arrow and then select video only, which can also be achieved with Shift 2. And so now if I drag the shot on the timeline, it's not going to have any audio attached to it at all. And I'll show you with the audio actually enabled. So it's down on the timeline. It's not showing up at all. The one problem with this is you can't re-enable the audio once it's down on the timeline. So if you decide later, I want audio from this clip, you would have to push Shift F. That will show it up here in your browser. And then you're going to have to make sure you go over to audio and video mode. Here we go. And now I can drag that down, and now it does indeed have the audio. So my personal preference, if I know a shot doesn't need audio, is to disable it over here, but you also have a great method with that Shift 2. Finally, the last method is you might be scrolling through the video and it's playing audio as you're going. That is this icon right here. So you can enable this, and now if I had audio on the timeline, it would be playing back audio. Or you can disable that right there. You can also do that with Shift S. So that will enable or disable audio skimming. So that is just a couple ways you can deal with audio. Something to note is if you don't have audio skimming enabled, it used to be that you could go frame by frame and you would still hear the audio going back and forth. But now if you don't have audio skimming enabled, you're not going to hear any audio. So typically when I'm going frame by frame, I like to really know when the beat of a song is going or something like that. And unfortunately, if you don't have audio skimming enabled, you're not going to hear that. Hopefully, all of that makes sense. Gonna drink some water here in my fancy Final Cut Bro mug. Okay. Let's see. Paul Garrow is asking, do you think Final Cut Pro will get an AI text editor soon? That's hard to say, Paul. I have no idea. I wish it would. I do know that that there are people that are working on it, like Captionator. It's not editing via text like what you're describing, but I know his plugin showcases all the text now if you open up the plugin. And I strongly doubt that somebody couldn't take that and create an XML out of it and get that into Final Cut Pro. I'm not a developer. I don't know how hard that is. But so there's Captionator. There's also Transcriber over on the FX Factory store. So I could easily see a developer kind of taking the next step and doing that for Final Cut Pro. As far as Apple doing it, I'm not sure. I feel like if they do it, it'll probably be in about 3 years because they're typically several years behind other editing softwares. But when they do implement a new effect or something, it's generally done very well. The one exception being the scene removal mask I wasn't particularly stoked on, but but everything else has just been exceptional. So I'm hoping that someday when Apple does it, it's going to be done in the Apple way. It's just going to be very simple, and I would love to see that. I think that would be very beneficial, especially if you're doing a lot of A-roll or something. Saif is asking, they want to save media in the library after editing. So that is a great question. So Saif, as you may know in a lot of my videos, I'm like, hey, don't have the media copied into your library. So if I go, actually I have Command Post open, which kind of hides my import window sometimes. Okay, it's not going to do it. Okay, so when you import footage, over on this option here, there's the copy to library and leave files in place. I always highly recommend that you leave files in place. This is going to keep your file sizes much smaller because it's not duplicating the media as you drag it in. However, what happens at the end when you decide, okay, I actually do want all my media in this library, that is where this option comes in. So if I select my my nicely named library, hint, hint, subscribe, if we select that, you can go over here and there's this option to consolidate media. So there it is. So if you click that, this will allow you to bring in all of the media that you might want. Say you're taking this project on the road, then you could choose original media, optimizer media, or proxy media. This is also a really great way if you want to share a file. So maybe you're uploading this project online, you don't want massive files. You could generate a bunch of proxy media and consolidate it all inside of this library with just the proxy media. Then when somebody actually, opens up the project, they're going to need to go over to view and make sure that either proxy preferred or proxy only is selected. Otherwise, all your media is going to appear offline. So you could upload that project with proxies, and then they can set it to proxy preferred or whatever they need to do, and they don't need to worry about having all of the original media. So that is how you can consolidate all of your media into one project. You can also do it with motion content. And I'm going to be honest, I really should understand what this does, but for some reason it just doesn't register what consolidating the motion projects does. I'm assuming that if you create, if somebody were to use my Pro Zooms plugin, it would consolidate the Pro Zooms plugin with the project. But I haven't done enough testing, and I don't really get what it's doing. So that's something I should do a video on, so I can learn that myself. Hopefully that makes sense. Yes, Backroom Editor Ben, I am married. And Raph, I saw a little where is it? There's a super chat. Thank you so much, Raph, for the super chat. I appreciate that so much. It definitely helps me able to continue on. And you guys, you know what? Free advertise. Well, it's not free. He paid me. So go check out Raphael's channel. I love Raph. He has some great Final Cut content. Hey, look at that. I got a dislike on the live stream. Thank you so much, whoever you are. I'm so glad that you don't like my live streams. Let's see. Fimbrits is asking, hi Dylan, I am very new to editing in Final Cut Pro in general. I want to know if Apple Motion is to Final Cut Pro what Adobe, oh wait, let me show this on the screen. What Adobe After Effects is to Premiere Pro. Yes, Fimbrits, or I'm sorry, however you say your name. It is the closest you're going to get to After Effects working with Premiere. Motion is to Final Cut. However, it's not a one-to-one perfect connection. So with Premiere Pro, you do have the dynamic linking, which is so extremely powerful. I do believe you can create templates in After Effects for Premiere Pro, similar to what Motion does. So it's not perfect because with Motion, there isn't a dynamic linking system. So if I wanted to send a project over into Motion, it's a lot more hands-on. So you would essentially need to locate the footage on your hard drive, and then open that and import it to Motion, do all your animations and effects, and then export that file and re-import that to Final Cut Pro. It's a messy process that I'm not fond of. However, there is a plugin, and I've added a link to this one in the description because I was thinking about talking about it. So, for example, if I wanted to send this project over, I don't know if it's going to work with my Pro Burns, but let's say I had just a regular title here. If I wanted to send this over into Motion, there's it's essentially an app. You can find it on the FX Factory store called Xsend Motion. And if I go to the top right, we'll go to our share menu and you'll see Xsend Motion. So I'll click that, do next. It'll bring up this window really quick. I'll just push continue. And now all of those video clips and the title that I had on my timeline are now here inside of Motion. Very handy. So you can see the video clips are all separated out. It's super cool. So it's a great app to have if you're constantly jumping between. However, it is an expensive application. It's at $100 right now. I recommend maybe waiting for a sale. I think you could try the code, the Final Cut Bro, and you might get 10% off. I always forget which coupon codes to use. So try the Final Cut Bro or just Final Cut Bro, FC Bro, one of those, and hopefully you'll get 10% off. Yeah, so that is a look at Xsend Motion. And again, from here, once I've, added in my different animations or whatever I need to do, I could go up to share and I could send that to export the movie and then re-import that to Final Cut Pro. It's a messy process. I do have a video where I show kind of the process of dynamic linking between Final Cut Pro and Motion. However, it requires you overwriting your original save file. It's kind of sketchy. I only do it if I'm feeling particularly lazy. I think the video is called Dynamic Linking in Final Cut Pro. It was one of the first videos I made. It was a long time ago, so hopefully that makes sense. Alrighty, going down. Let's see. Oh yeah, MNOJ got a correction there. I gotta work faster through these questions here. RV Life with Adrian and Ruth is asking, how can you select all audio on a timeline and adjust audio to make all the same? That is a great question. Let me open up Final Cut Pro again here. Okay, let's see if I can get some audio elements down here. So the problem is, this is a feature that I really want in Final Cut Pro. I want to be able to select all of the audio components from just my dialogue, or all of my audio components for just my music. Unfortunately, it's not quite as smooth as I would like it. So right now, the process for this would be to go over to your index on the left side and go to your roles. And it's going to be important that you assign roles to your different music tracks. So to do that, see how this music track is green. Normally, it would come in blue. So if I right click on it, select Assign Audio Roles, it would normally come in as a dialogue track. And you'll notice here on the left side that there is dialogue and there's no longer a music track there. So if I want to separate these out, I can right click, show audio lanes and audio roles, and do music. So now it's green. I can visually see that it's different, but it also enables me to come over here to the left side and I can separate these out essentially. So if I click on show audio lanes, I wish I had way more audio in this project to show this off. Maybe I could bring in a bunch of sound effects. That's going to take a second to load though, because I have a lot of sound effects. But essentially, it's separating them out into different lanes. So if I were to detach this audio clip and hide these, can I get this to... Maybe I can get it to... Of course, it's not going to go as crazy as I want it to. But sometimes your audio is all over the place. Sometimes you've got music tracks above and below your dialogue tracks. So if you click on Show Audio Lanes, this is going to segregate it into music and dialogue separately. So you could theoretically go in and click and drag over all of your music elements and then apply an effect. However, what if you want to just adjust the volume on all of them and you don't want to go up to your volume slider and change that? This is where compound clips comes into play. So when you're done with your project and you're ready to master it, prepare it to send it off to the world, you could select everything, just your entire project, right click on it and then select a new compound clip. You could call it finished video or whatever you like. And don't worry, this isn't a destructive thing. We can go back to how it was originally if you want. But you'll notice now, because I have my audio lanes revealed by using this index in the roles, you'll see here now that my music track and my dialogue track are separated even though they are in the same object. So if I hide this, they're all just one contained thing. So anytime I need to get a hold of either my music track or my video track, I can go to Show Audio Lanes, and now I can go ahead and apply my music effect directly onto this music lane or directly onto the dialogue track. I can bring up the volume a bunch. So this is super powerful to use compound clips. Now, if you don't want to go into your index or anything and you don't want to show all your audio lanes at the same time, I'm going to hide that. You can also just right click on the clip and then select Expand Audio Components, and now that is showing me the different layers. You can also achieve that with Control Option and S. If you just want the audio by itself, you want all the audio to stay contained, it's just Control S, which will expand it, and it's also called it's just called Expand Audio. So Expand Audio or Expand Audio Components is going to kind of be your friend here. Hopefully that makes sense. Again, when they're separated, you can apply any effect you want onto these different layers. Alrighty. Cityscapes Lawn Care is asking, can you merge 2 events or more in one timeline? Yes. So, okay, you can create multiple events. Let's see if I have a new event. And I'll go ahead and just drag a whole bunch of media over into this secondary event. So this event and this event don't have the same media now, right? You can right click on it. I think, where did I see? There's a merge events button. Yeah, there it is. It's under file. So you can go up to file and then go down to merge events, and that's going to condense all of your media together. So that's one way. But also, like you're asking, can you do it with a singular timeline? So if I had multiple timelines, I'm going to duplicate this timeline. You could essentially go into your secondary timeline, push Command A to select everything, Command C to copy, and then jump over into the other timeline where you want that media and do Command V, and it will paste across perfectly. This brings into question a feature that I would love to have in Final Cut Pro is multiple stacked timelines. So hopefully that comes someday. That's a feature in, I believe, Premiere Pro. I think it's even in DaVinci Resolve. I would love to see it in Final Cut Pro where you can have multiple timelines open at the same time. That way you could have your A-roll timeline where you're dragging media down into the secondary timeline. That's a whole other topic I could get into, but hopefully that answers your question. And also one other way to merge events, I believe you can just click and drag the event directly into the other one, and you'll see how that merged it. So hopefully one of those answers works for you. Let's see, Ian Johnston asking, hey Dylan, do you find it harder and harder to learn new things in Final Cut Pro and Motion? Where do I go to learn new things? Recommend any YouTubers in particular? Ian, I have a lot of Final Cut YouTubers I recommend. I recommend Raphael Ludwig, who was in the chat earlier. Hopefully he's still there. I recommend Matthew O'Brien. I recommend Dylan John. He is the better Dylan, if you ask me. And Dylan John actually just dropped the most insane color grading course ever. It's, I think he said 15 or 20 hours of color grading content for Final Cut Pro. So I have a link to that as well down below, as well as a coupon code. If you want to learn all things color grading in Final Cut Pro, go check out that course. Ripple Training, they are legends in the space. They've been doing Final Cut Pro content for years. There's Jen Jager. She has amazing Final Cut Pro and Apple Motion content. Simon Ubsdale, he is just one of the craziest Apple Motion creators I've ever seen in my life. If any of you are aware of who Video Copilot is, Andrew Kramer, Simon Ubsdale is the Andrew Kramer of the Apple Motion world, if you ask me. Just creates amazing, amazing stuff. Who else? Man. Brad West is amazing. I wish I had the whole list in front of me, and I wish I had links to everybody. But those are all channels that I check out. But another way that I learn Final Cut is I just do it the boring way. I open up the help manual, go in here, show all help topics, and I just read stuff. And that hopefully gets me inspired to create a new video. I'll click around on every button. I have test projects where I don't care what gets deleted. And that's the thing to remember is like pretty much anything can be undone. So don't be afraid to click on buttons, create a whole separate project with media on it that doesn't matter, just stock elements from Envato Elements or something, and just go crazy. Click on everything and really learn the software that way. That's one of the biggest factors for me in learning software. And then it also comes from, I've been working in video editing for 17 years. I'm constantly trying to figure out how do I make this more efficient? How do I make my life faster? So it also comes from that. So hopefully that answers your question, Ian. Thanks for asking that. Renee Ritchie in the house, the YouTube creator liaison legend. Thank you so much for stopping by. I'm glad you liked the tips. I really wanted to meet you at VidCon, but I just didn't get the chance. Maybe next time. Solid Cap Golf. Hey, I'm so glad the golf tip was helpful. Hopefully you can use that in your videos. Kumar is asking, is there any possibility in Apple Motion to build such a title with sound? For example, YouTube subscribe button with bell sound. Kumar, you are asking for something that I have been begging for with Apple Motion. Unfortunately, sounds don't go from Motion to Final Cut Pro. So you could theoretically just export a sound file of a sound that you're constantly using and then create your Motion template and import that sound every time you need to use that template. Another way is to use a pasteboard app. I don't have mine open right now. Let's see, can I open it? Paste. So this is something I've been doing lately. Basically, if I had a title here, maybe my zoom always has a sound effect, a trailer explosion sound effect. So I always want these two to work together. So I'll select them both using the command key. I'll push command C. Then I open up the app Paste. Where is it? There it is. And Paste is cool because it saves it all down in these nice orderly fashion here. So you can see all the stuff I've been copying, but you can also save a folder. So FCP titles, I could just drop this one in here, and that actually brings it in as a compound clip. And normally when it's working, of course it's not working on stream. When it's working, it usually brings in all of my sound effects. I'll break that apart. And you can see the sound effects are there, but for some reason I must have disconnected the drive that had these sound effects or something. And so that is another great way to save a title with your sound effects. So you could check out Paste. I think there are some free pasteboard apps. I forget what they call them. Clipboard management apps that are free, so you can check those out too. I just use Paste because it's just very clean and it's part of the, I have a set app subscription thing. Stuart is asking, how do you go about finding new clients that aren't insufferably cheap? Stuart, that is a very tricky question. I wish I had the perfect answer for that. Honestly, a large part of it is being less afraid of getting told no and just saying, sorry, this is my rate. And if they don't want it, hoping for a different client. It's super scary at the beginning to continually raise your rates to a point where you're getting a lot of no's. But there is a certain point where you're high enough in demand that it's okay. So it's tricky. It's hard to get there perfectly. Everybody has a different journey getting to that level. But really, one of the biggest factors for why I was able to go on YouTube full time was I was just very firm with the rates I wanted for sponsorships and that stuff. So just be willing to hear no and not take it personally. And sometimes they come back and they think you're bluffing or something, and they'll come back and pay your rates when you're lucky. So, but the great thing is the people I have found who have been willing to pay my rates immediately, no questions asked, are always the best clients to work with. And the people that are stingy and don't want to pay the rates that you're asking for always end up being the most difficult clients to work with. So it ends up working out in your favor somehow, because the people that see your value and know what you're worth, they're excited to work with you. So I don't have the perfect answer to that, but that's kind of the mindset I've taken on. I would try and pronounce your name, but I have no idea. Hello, how to make the sides of a clip or photo look like torn paper. Example, where an uneven or irregular shape. This can be often seen in videos where the sides are not even, but seem to be bitten. Great question. I was actually considering doing a tutorial on this. You might have asked this in the comments. Again, I can't say your name. It's too difficult for me, but so you have a few options here. One, I recommend downloading like a paper asset from something like Envato Elements or Pexels. Pexels is free, so go check that out. So you could import that, and I don't have a paper asset with me, of course, but I'm just going to bring in a random shape. So let's pretend like this heart here is the shape that I want to cut out. And I'll scale it up, and then I'll do Option G to throw it into a compound clip. So I want to cut this shape out of the background, right? There are two different ways. So one is to select that shape, go to your blend modes, and change it over to stencil alpha, and you'll see now that I have cut out that particular shape. The problem with this method is that if I were to apply another layer underneath it, it's also going to cut it out. So if I do this, now you'll see that background isn't revealing itself. So if I wanted to instead have a background, I would need to either drop this clip on top of everything, just like so, and change the blend mode from normal over to behind. And now we have a separation of the background. But this is just going to throw your timeline out of order, and that might be frustrating to you. So another option is to actually place this clip into a compound clip. So I'll right click, new compound clip, and do that. So now we have that heart cutout shape, and it's in this compound clip. However, sometimes you don't want to work with a compound clip. So you have another option, if you select the clip that you want to be cut out, and we'll just look up the image mask effect in Final Cut Pro. Go ahead and apply that onto whatever clip that you want to be cut out, and I'll get rid of this blend mode here. So now we can go into our video inspector and just use the drop zone. So we'll select this heart, and I will hide the heart, and now just like that, this video clip is being cut out by that heart shape, and I didn't need to do a compound clip. Everything's working properly. So this is another great method. It comes with its own caveats. For example, it's just really frustrating to work with drop zones. So if you are not working with an animated paper clip, then I would recommend going this image mask route. I really like this image mask route. And we can also move, you'll see that I can move this image mask around. Now, unfortunately, I cut off the top and bottom of the heart, but this is really nice with the image mask because you can very quickly move it around. So that's kind of the idea. That's how I would cut out a paper clip. So if you had a PNG alpha of paper edges, you could use this image mask method or do the blend mode method. Hopefully that helps you there, and we'll keep on going down. Cityscapes Lawn Care asking, when dealing with airdrops, it changes the date to the new drop. Is there something in Final Cut Pro that will capture the original date taken when downloaded files? I use the date to align my videos and pics in order. That is a great question. Unfortunately, I don't think Final Cut Pro directly has that. There are apps. You might even be able to do it in Finder now. Man, I don't remember the name of that app. There's an app that allows you to set it to the original date, but I don't remember the name. Unfortunately, I don't think... Let's take a look here. I could be wrong. So if we go to our index, we'll expand it out to see if it allows me to change anything. No, it doesn't look like it can change. Yeah, I can't change the date in Final Cut. That would be really nice. So unfortunately, I don't think so, Cityscapes Lawn Care. And free advertising, Cityscapes Lawn Care, I bet they're really good because they watch my videos. So if you're in their area, make sure you hire them for your lawn needs. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't know on that. Sorry, I wish I had a better answer for you there. Ticonderoga 100 is asking, when do I need to use Final Cut Pro as opposed to Motion? For instance, production is longer than 1 minute. Ticonderoga, so there's no set time. Here, check this out. I'm going to go to Facecam. So there's no specific set time when you should use one or the other per se. It kind of comes down to what are you working with in your project. Most of the time with Motion, I only use it for a singular scene, right? So, or a single shot. So if I have a fancy animation graphic coming onto the screen, I'm going to use Motion to do that because the animation tools are so much more robust than what's found in Final Cut Pro. But Final Cut Pro, I'm typically going to use for the full picture, the whole movie down on the timeline. That is what I'm going to use Final Cut Pro for. So that's my personal workflow, but there are some people who create entire movies inside of Motion. It's really impressive. But Motion does slow down more and more the more stuff you throw on the timeline there. And the timeline is very difficult to manage because it doesn't have just a basic cut feature, right? You can't just cut a clip and slide it over in the timeline. It's all based on layers. So if I wanted to create a cut, essentially it's duplicating the shot, cutting it, and then dropping it down in the layers, and then this one ends here, this one starts here. Hopefully that's a good visual representation there. So Motion is great for singular one shot, but it doesn't really matter if it's 1 minute or 3 minutes or 10 minutes. It's just going to come down to what are you after with that specific scene. So yeah, that's kind of the idea with Motion. Also, Motion is exceptionally powerful at creating templates. So that is mostly what I use Motion for, is creating full templates with, beautiful animations that I can use over and over and over again. And that's frankly how almost all templates are made for Final Cut Pro, is using Apple Motion. And then sometimes they'll add in some extra tracking features that aren't found in Final Cut or something, and that requires some extra programming. So hopefully that makes sense. Let's take a look. Renee Ritchie saying, I would love generative AI paint in so we can magic erase objects and paint out so we can extend shots without having to reshoot. Bring us AI tools. Yes, I am so with you, Renee. I am so with you. I would love that. I'm really loving the AI stuff. I know people are worried about it taking our jobs, but really, I just think it's just going to empower us even more until the AI robots take over the world, and then we're screwed. But oh, and Ben answered that question there. Byron, anything wrong if I download and use a pirated Final Cut Pro? Byron, I do not condone piracy in any way. I personally, the way I bought Final Cut Pro was just mowing lawns every day for like 5 or 6 months or something. So I think it's hard. Different countries have different levels of income and stuff, and I know that Final Cut Pro prices can seem expensive, but if you really consider this app is going to make me a living, it's worth the expense. So I don't condone piracy. That's as much as I can say. And that is the super chat Raph did earlier. Man, I'm going so slow through these. Holy moly, I gotta speed this up. Okay, let's see. Oh, let's see. Little Fantasies Tube asking if I have some time, would I show how to edit images like Parallax, please, or even with Keeper if I still have it? Yes, so I've done 2 tutorials on this. One is a very recent one for motion VFX. It used MPuppet as well as I created a parallax animation. I think it's called This Plugin Brings Your Still Images to Life. Let me see if I can find that. We'll go over here. I was going to see if I could share it in chat. And we'll find it. I make too many videos here. Here we go. Okay, yeah. This plugin brings your still images to life. I'm going to drop this in the comments. Oh, that brought me all the way down. So that video shows how to do parallax. I have another video that does parallax inside of Motion, which is my preferred workflow for that particular thing because it has 3D cameras and stuff like that. Hopefully that helps you. Let's keep on. Let me see. Raphael Ludwig, let's see. Oh man, there's so many great. Okay, here we go. I got caught up. It threw me at the bottom of the comments, and there's 112. Okay. Yes, everybody saying, "Hey, don't steal." Yep, 100% agree. Don't steal. Try the 90-day trial. That's a great way to do it. Also, stealing, it's just not good, and also you don't get all the latest updates. So just save your money for it. It's so worth it in the end. Or try DaVinci Resolve, which is free. Oh, yes, Larry Jordan is a great source for video tutorials. Go check out Larry Jordan as well. Raph saying the dislike was him. Mouse slipped. Let's see. Oh, yep. Renee Ritchie sets you to Matthew O'Brien. Absolute legend. Great live streams. I take inspiration from his live streams. Raph says, I use After Effects every day. Not once have I used dynamic linking. I render out and import in. Interesting, Raph. I'm curious why that is. That's a very interesting thing. I love dynamic link, but... Tops Fanis is asking, is my footage S-Log3 and what is my coloring process? So I created a video on this. It's basically you make your S-Log videos, you correct them in one click. So I will see if I can link to that as well. Here we go. Instantly make correcting log footage faster. Here we go. Hopefully you get that. That video just shows how I correct my S-Log footage and how I've made it to just be one click in Final Cut Pro. Let's keep on. Gotta get caught up here. Here we go. How do I rename my effects folder in the Final Cut Pro effects panel? Hachi is asking that. That's a great question, Hachi. So you have a couple ways you could do that. One is to, when you create, let me switch over to my screen here. Let me do that. Oh wait, I have it on the Stream Deck. There we go. That's handy. Okay, so when you want to rename, let's say you want to rename, like create a whole new category here. You could go in and I'll just apply an effect and we'll go to our video inspector. So we have all of our effects. You could go down and select save effects preset. That's going to provide you with this category. And what's great is you could just have one single effect, save it as an effects preset, and then you could create a whole new category. So in this example, I've created a faves category, and I put that star in front because that typically brings it to the top of the category list here on the right. So I'll push save, and you'll see now that my faves folder is here at the top, and it has all my favorites that I use over and over inside of Final Cut Pro. So that's one way you could create a whole new folder inside of your categories here by saving an effects preset. You could also, if you want to get really complex with it, you could, actually, no, you can't do that. Yeah, you could. Okay, let me pull this over. So we need to go over to motion templates, go to our effects. You'll see I have all of these folders here, and you could technically create a new folder here and drag your effects in there, or you could just rename one of these folders, and that's going to change the category here inside of Final Cut Pro. Ticonderoga, can motion be used to create interactive web pages that implement Apple scrolls to animate? I have no idea. I do not believe so. Great question though. And oh man, thank you so much for the super sticker. That's my first super sticker. Thank you so much. I don't know I didn't get to see it. I'll have to go back in the replay and watch it. Big Drain saying I really need to learn motion. Yes, I have a video on that. Motion's awesome. It seems complicated at first, but it's really, actually, in my opinion, motion in some ways is simpler than Final Cut Pro. So it's just that learning curve, that initial opening of the app, and it's just like, what the heck do I do? So, said stopping by, dude, legend. Hopefully, go check out his graphics. I helped him bring his already amazing graphics, import them into motion, and then put them on his channel. So go check out the graphics on his channel. He probably needs more. I'm always too busy lately. Let's see. Daniel, how to nudge audio in subframes inside a multicam clip. Great question, Daniel. There's a few ways we could do this. Let's go ahead, and I need to create a whole multicam here. So I'll do that. Yes, I am showing my screen. We'll just do a nice and ugly multicam. I'm not going to rename it. So Final Cut's going to synchronize. Wow, it's taking a long time on this. Usually it's like right away. There we go. So if we open up our multicam, you got two levels here. And I should have just brought in a singular audio channel because you can't really work with subframes very well when you have a video attached. So it has to be its own thing. So to fix that, let's go ahead and bring in, I'll do Shift 3, which will bring in just audio. And just like that, we have our audio. Okay, so adjusting by subframes is interesting. A lot of people don't need it super frequently. I forget where the toggle is for it. Modify sub. Well, I forget the control for it. But what you can do, let's say that your audio is just barely getting out of sync over time. This was a great method shown to me by my friend Brad on his channel, Brad West. So if your audio is just like barely off, what you can do is go to the very beginning of your audio track and make sure they're synchronized. Go through all the steps to make sure that stays synced. Then just push M to add a marker. Then you'll scroll all the way to the very end and find a good audio peak. Push M for another marker, and I would recommend you do the same on the other clip according to that exact audio waveform. Then if they're slightly off, you can push Command R to retime it and just barely adjust the retiming so that your markers line up as they should to adjust for those subframes that you might have. And you'll notice that even with as minor of the adjustments as I'm doing here, it's still remaining green, playing back at normal speed. So that's going to compensate for those subframes. I forgot where the subframe option is up here, unfortunately. Let's see. There's a button for it. Maybe somebody can share. I got to scroll to the bottom of the chat to find that. Yeah. So, unfortunately, I can't remember where the subframes are. Oh, well. But that is one great way to adjust for subframes. Hopefully that starts to help you get adjusted there. What it's like option something. I can't remember it. Oh well. Let's see. I will keep on moving down here. Sorry guys, it's taking me so long to get through chat. You're blowing it up. Hello from Taiwan again. Dylan, I have motion and it takes forever to load. I only have a few plugins and it's taking nearly 3 minutes to load. Help. That is very interesting. So I also have found that motion's slowed down considerably when opening, and I'm not sure the full reason. It would be amazing if there's a developer maybe in chat who can help with that. I'm not sure why motion takes so long, but it does take an egregiously long time. Yes, thank you, Ben, for resharing that. Again, I'm so behind on these chats here. Yes, please, if you could throw a question or a Q or whatever, that does help me find it a lot better. But that's all right. Let's see. Question, would love to hear your opinion on what Motion VFX is cooking with their announcement. I unfortunately can't share what I know. Let's see. Raphael, God, I hate the compound clip route. I use rolls and select them all and keyboard shortcut to adjust the volume. Let's see. Sorry, I read that so poorly. My voice is going. Let me take a sip of water. Oh, okay. Raph is referring to earlier when I showed how to do, working with all of your audio at the same time. I compound clipped it and you could apply an effect. And I agree, Raph, it's not a great workflow. Question, let's see, Top's asking that again. Let's see, do I know a text-based editing plugin or workflow that not Lumberjack Builder? I do not, unfortunately. Somebody else was telling me about Lumberjack, which I want to check out, but I unfortunately don't know of another one. I'm sure they're out there. That would be amazing to get. Of course, you could import it into DaVinci Resolve and export an XML and get it over to Final Cut. That might be a potential workflow, but yes, audio mixer or audio buses would be key. I agree. Question, let's see. Did I just read through the same questions, or I think you guys asked them twice, which is okay. That's because I'm taking forever to get through these. Let's see. Top end. Agent Smith was saying they have a top end M2 and mine takes seconds to load. Is the system slow with other apps? Try Clean My Mac X or back up everything and reformat and reinstall the Mac OS. That's a great point, Agent Smith. Thanks for sharing that. I personally have used Clean My Mac. I haven't found it saving my time with Motion. I'm not sure why Motion takes so long, but once you get going in it, it's super fast. What workflow do I use to export my videos, or do I send it to compressor? Elio. So I literally just go up, press export file, go to settings, and I do either Apple devices or computer, and then I export it like that. I don't even do the multi-pass better quality. I'm just plain and simple. When a client needs highest possible quality, I'll usually either go through compressor because I can set it to their specific specifications. I do have a tutorial on that, kind of the basics of compressor. Or I will go to video and audio and do a ProRes export. But honestly, especially for YouTube, I've just found that it doesn't really help to have a larger video file. So, just super simple. Usually computer H.264 and export that. Let's see. Yes, don't forget Jen Jager. Jen Jager is amazing. I think I mentioned her, but yeah, incredible channel sharing Final Cut Pro and Apple Motion tutorials. Thanks for that, Stuart. Let's see. Oh, yes, Raph sharing other YouTubers. Go check those guys out. Let's see, Peter Lindgren. Oh, yeah, Peter Lindgren is a great place to learn some Final Cut tips. Go check out Peter Lindgren. So many great spots. YouTube is amazing. Let's see. Okay, Joe, I can't say your name. Jofega? Recently bought a MacBook to study Final Cut, and all the titles have an ending animation. That is a great question. So, if you are dealing with titles that have an an animation. Let me see if I can find one here. We'll drop this one in. This is a great little video I'm creating here. Okay, so you'll see that I have this title and it's got this beautiful animation from Motion VFX pops in. But at the end, I don't want this to animate out. So how do I get rid of that? Well, you'll go up to your titles and you'll find your animation out on and off, or it will be called build out a lot of the time in your different templates, and you'll just disable that with that checkbox. However, if you have a title that doesn't have that fancy checkbox, there is another way. So essentially what you would do is right click on your title and then select new compound clip. And so now this has thrown it, and it's essentially its own video file at this point. So I can do whatever I want with this video file. I could reverse it, I could do slow-mo, I could do anything to this title, but I could also just trim off the end there, and just like that, I no longer have that out animation, and you could also push Command T to add in a fade out transition. So that is essentially how you can get rid of that end animation if the plugin developer didn't add a build out checkbox. Let's see, Agent Smith. What music, sound effects, and stock footage website do you recommend? Is Pixabay just as good and it's free? Always curious about what you guys use. Agent Smith, I use Envato Elements almost every day. So Envato Elements is my big stock footage library. They have Final Cut Pro templates. They have music, sound effects. They have everything I could possibly need. But then I don't find that their music selection is as high quality as I would like it to. So I use Soundstripe a ridiculous amount for my videos, and it comes with all of the stems. So all the music is separated out into different layers if I want to, and that means that maybe I want the drums to go away in a perfect or certain spot of the video. I can go ahead and just dip those out because I have all the tracks. So Soundstripe is where I go to. I have a link in the description to them as well. And what's great about Soundstripe is they don't have any issues if you put the songs on broadcast television. So this is huge for me because I was working with clients that wanted their stuff on TV. And so I would have to stress about, okay, what license do I get? What's more expensive? Usually it's very expensive to do TV rights and all that stuff. So Soundstripe's super affordable and it works with TV rights. You basically don't have to worry about your music rights anywhere with Soundstripe. So that's why I like them. And I've found that their search features are some of my favorite. So I love Soundstripe. If you're going on the cheap, I recommend you check out Upbeat. They do have a free option, and I think you can get 10 free songs a month. So Upbeat is great. It doesn't have all the features of Soundstripe, but they have some of my favorite music selections. So a lot of my videos are kind of back and forth between Soundstripe and Upbeat, and then all of my stock elements are Envato elements. And Pexels is great for free stuff. There's just a larger selection over on Envato. Let's see. Oh, Renee Ritchie sharing the wisdom. A former Apple evangelist told developers, if you double your price and lose fewer than half your customers, you're ahead. Super right. Yep, 100%. Also, if you're thinking about becoming a YouTuber, let me suggest, like, sponsorships, they're great. They're awesome. But sell digital products. My plugins are my main source of income. And so highly, highly recommend that you sell digital products. I know a lot of people do courses and PDF pamphlets and stuff. If you can figure out something that's really useful to your audience specifically, that is amazing. So don't get me wrong, sponsorships are great and they pay the bills. They're amazing. But if you can sell a digital product, it's really going to take you way further. And you don't have to worry about upping your rates because it's your product. So let's see. AMW Films question. On Final Cut Pro, do you know a text? Oh, you asked that earlier. And then let me see. Patrick Masters Productions saying, sorry I'm late, was watching football, so I'll have to get caught up on earlier stuff. Just want to say how appreciative we all are of you, Dylan, and your tireless contributions. Hey, I'm so glad, Patrick. Thank you for sharing that. Final Cut Pro have any plugin color grading DaVinci Resolve 18 level. DaVinci Resolve is a very tough bar to hit. So DaVinci Resolve is the best of color grading. But if you're going for the closest you can get to DaVinci Resolve, then I would check out Color Finale. Yep, that's it. I don't have a link to them in the description, but again, if you go check out my friend Dylan John's incredible color grading course, which there's a link to down below, I believe one of the sign-up offers is that you can get Color Finale 50% off, and he has a full section on Color Finale. So if you really want to take your color grading to the next level in Final Cut Pro, highly recommend you check out that course. And there is a 10% off discount on top of, I think it's 50% off right now for the launch period. So go get it now, because it's I think it's $119 right now at 50% off, and it's worth every single penny. I've just had my mind blown with this color grading stuff. So go check that out. Hopefully that answers that question. Jimmy Celeste saying, Dylan, thank you. I'm glad I get to do what I do. So thanks, Jimmy, for watching. Kumar is saying, I want to make adjustment layer title, which can move the below footage left or right, and an overlay can fill that empty area. I have succeeded in overlay moving in, but footage remains as it is. Kumar, so basically, if you're using an adjustment layer, let me switch back to my screen camera here. So we drop in our adjustment layer. Here's the issue with adjustment layers. So I want to animate the footage using this adjustment layer. I'll go in, add a, actually I don't want scale, I want position. So we want to move this over to the right side. Or I guess wrong one, there we go. So we want it to move over to the side, and if we push play, it's got that animation, great. Now I want this background underneath that adjustment layer. Well, let me find my minimalist backgrounds, which I have on my store. You can go check those out. I dropped in the background, but this adjustment layer is also sliding that background. So we need to adjust for that. One great way is to just simply put the background above the adjustment layer and set the blend mode over to behind, which is kind of similar to what I showed earlier. And so now I have a background over there with that adjustment layer. So this is one way to get around the adjustment layer. Another way is to apply that adjustment layer inside of a compound clip. And then another way is to purely just do your animations directly on the clip. And yeah, hopefully that helps you a little bit, Kumar, there. And I did create a tutorial in Apple Motion showing how to do something similar. It's the sidebar animation. I'm not happy with the thumbnail. I need to work on that one. Too many videos. Let's see. Juva Kids is asking, can Apple Motion be used for 2D and 3D characters? Thank you from Juva Kids. So yes, it can be. It can't be used, to my knowledge, for 3D characters so much. But 2D characters, you can actually create dynamic rigs. You can link stuff to certain objects and get some pretty powerful rigs. I would love to make a tutorial on that, but animation is something that I'm not good at, character animation specifically. That said, you should also take a look at Mpuppet from Motion VFX. I have a tutorial about that. I talked about it earlier. Mpuppet is so ridiculously powerful, and it allows you to, it's like the puppet tool in After Effects, where you can pin different parts of somebody's hands and then animate them however you want. So Mpuppet is great for that, and that would work so amazingly well with 2D characters in Apple Motion. So I would love to make a tutorial on it. I recommend you check out Jen Jager. She's got some character animation stuff, but character animation is just something I'm not really strong in, so I haven't felt like I should make the tutorial. Yes, Stuart, I agree. Resolve's on another level. Sounds like a lot of agreement in the comments before I ever scroll down. Hey Dylan, how would you go about editing the sound of audio to make it sound like it's coming from a TV on the other side of the room? Great question. So there's a few ways. Stuart is an audio engineer, so he's probably gonna laugh at whatever I'm trying to do here. I personally would just mess with the EQ elements. So I would look at the channel EQ effect, and I'll go into my audio effects. Oh, wait, I'm not showing my screen. Shoot, there we go. Okay, so we'll pull up. You could take a look at the channel EQ, and you'll find that a lot of the time, sound coming from another room, all the high-end sounds are cut off, right? So you're just getting like the deeper, bassier notes. So you could jump inside your channel EQ, and you could just drop off all of these high notes. I wouldn't do it this much, but I'm doing this for the sake of demonstration. So just bring all the highs down. This is you'll want to play around with the audio when the time comes. But then you'll just be left with the low reverberating notes, and you can play around with this channel EQ. So that's going to take out a lot of that volume, make it sound like it's kind of coming from the room over there. But another thing you could do is adjust the pan mode. So we could select, there's this pan mode in the audio thing, set to none. If you set that to stereo left and right, now we can drag the slider over to the right-hand side, and now it's going to be coming from the right speaker. It's going to be sounding like somebody in a room to our right has some sound. So I would play around with the channel EQ stuff. That could be a very powerful way. There used to be, I don't think it's still here, the latest version of Final Cut got rid of one of my favorite effects. Oh, Muffled 2. So you could also play Muffled 2, apply that, drag that amount slider up. That's going to make it, again, sound like it's coming from a different room. So play around with those different effects. Channel EQ gives you far more control than the muffled effect, but the muffled effect is an easy way to achieve that. Let's see. Yes. Oh, Patrick Masters Productions saying, I love Brad West's idea of saving LUT looks as presets, but it sucks when you have thousands of LUTs. Yes, 100% I agree. The LUT preset method is really great. I wish there was just an easy way to see all of your LUTs inside of Final Cut Pro that was like already built in, right? So you just load in your list and that automatically shows you. There are plugins like MLUT that does stuff like that, and I'm sure there's others that you can take a look at. But yeah, it does hurt when you have thousands. And I see people, yep. Oh, yep. Oh, let's see. Stuart is saying shave off the low end. He's smarter than me. So don't listen to anything I just said. Shave off the low end. I did it the wrong way. Okay. There we go. Stuart is a legend here. You use your video color for DaVinci Resolve 18.5. I don't do much coloring inside of Resolve, unfortunately, Creative Studio. Elio is asking, what workflow do you prefer to export your videos for YouTube? Oh, yes. I prefer just exporting it out of Final Cut Pro. And like I showed earlier, it's just, I keep it very dead simple. So again, I'm super behind on these chats, so sorry about that. Patrick and Master, I must have missed an earlier message. Apple did announce third-party support coming soon. I really hope it's ultra soon. I'm hoping. They haven't told me anything, but I'm hoping. Hi, Dylan. How I use new version Final Cut on old Mac OS Catalina. I need tracking. GDN, that is a great question. I have a full video diving deep into motion tracking in Final Cut Pro. It's going to cover every single feature. So I have my brother actually working on that one while I am in Spain. So hopefully that's coming out in the next week or two. But here's bare bones tracking. So there's a lot of different ways to do tracking. My favorite way, and I'll just show you the easiest way, is let's say I have a title here. I want to track this title onto my face. So I'll just click and drag, boom. Final Cut Pro knows there's a face there. It's going to set up this tracker. Then you just push analyze, and that will go through and track it. Very handy. Love the tracker in Final Cut Pro. Very simple for that stuff. So that's one way. You can also add a tracker by selecting your clip, going into your transform tool. Oh, sorry, that only works if you have a clip above it. So I have this title above, and I went to my transform tool, and you'll see that there's a tracker option, so I can drag that tracker into place and analyze. Additionally, if you want to create the tracker directly on the clip itself, you can go to your video inspector and scroll down to the very bottom. There's an add button here, and we can create another tracker. Then if you want, you can rename these trackers by double clicking on them and renaming them as needed. Super bare bones, demonstration of tracking. There are many tutorials out there on object tracking, but my tutorial is going to be covering a lot of the more hidden features of object tracking. So that's coming soon. Very excited about that one. Jeremy's asking if this is going to be posted. Yes, 100%, Jeremy. You will be able to watch this 4 billion times if you want to. Thank you, Ben. You're a legend for covering that. Final Cut Pro support by Jared. Oh, I haven't seen that one yet. I'll have to check out that channel, Patrick. Final Cut King has not uploaded in a long time. He's busy doing Zach King and getting his millions and millions of subscribers on TikTok or followers or whatever they call it. I don't use TikTok. Thanks for the tips. Absolutely, Agent Smith. YouTube's audio library is underrated. Yes, 100%. There's actually some pretty solid tracks in YouTube's audio library. Whoops, did I just zoom out? Man, I gotta lock this down. Ecamm live, baby. Let's see. Monty is asking where I've seen cool places I've seen my plugins being used. Honestly, I never know for sure if it's mine or not. I've been seeing my Saber plugin pop up a lot, but I can't tell you a particular spot where it was. I just remember randomly seeing it was which YouTuber was it? I don't know. It was a pretty big YouTuber, and I was like, oh, that kind of looks like Saber. But the thing is Saber is also created in the Premiere side of the world, so it's very possible that they're using After Effects. Hard to say. Aaron is asking, I think Apple could have gone even further with the power of the magnetic timeline? What connections do you think they could have made it better, like more treed links and or sub connections? That would be interesting to have more sub connections. Treed as in like a whole branch. Okay, I got you. I think they could. I'm very content with the magnetic timeline. I think something that Apple could do better is making it more obvious that you can lock the connections, because a lot of people get frustrated with the magnetic timeline for very good reason. Oh, Final Cut Pro's frozen here. Because when they're trying to move stuff and it's all attached to each other and they're like, I don't want it to be attached, I want it to just lock in, they aren't aware of the tilde key, and I don't think the tilde key should be as hidden as it is to lock those connections. I think a toggle up here would be great or something like that. I think the magnetic timeline's awesome. I have no complaints with it, and I think it's as powerful as it could be. I wish they would dive deeper into the audio realm and animations and keyframes, but I do think that they could make it more visibly known that you can lock your connections with that tilde key. But I guess that's my job, so they just have to let me do my YouTube thing. And Stuart, thank you for not judging me too hard. Low end for same room, high end for different room. Boom. I think an 8 gig Air 15 is fluid enough for Final Cut Pro, or should I upgrade to the 16 gig RAM version? Bermuda, I think you're going to potentially regret getting only 8. I have not personally used 8, but just seeing people's experience online, they tend to wish they had gotten 16. So I would say in the long run, it's going to be worth getting that 16 if you're able to afford it. That said, 8's not going to stop you from making videos. But yeah, I would, if you can, go for the 16. Juva Kids, tell me I'm inspiring. Wow, they must be watching the wrong channel. I'm glad you like the videos. How do I export for Facebook ad 4.5 1080 by 1350? Santiago is asking. Sorry if you asked that question like 6 hours ago. So to do that, Santiago, basically we'll create a new project. So I'm going to push Command N, and you'll see we got our video options. Go ahead and just jump on over to custom here. And now we can dive in and set this to 1080 by, you said 1080 by 1350. And just like that, I've now created a project in those exact dimensions, just like so. However, this does come with a few issues that you might want to consider. Some templates aren't going to work in this format. And so if you're having those particular issues, what I would do is create a 16 by 9 template, like an image file in as a PNG, and place that on top of a 16 by 9 project. So it's going to have black bars on the side, and you're just going to see your content in the center. This is going to allow you to create your videos as needed, but you'll still have the benefits of your templates working from a 16 by 9 template. So you can go through and edit your entire video, and then you could export it in that 16 by 9 format and crop off the edges after the fact. Again, this is going to make it so all of your templates work across the board, because this is an aspect ratio that Final Cut Pro just hates. It hates vertical aspect ratio so much. So if you can work in a 16 by 9 timeline and then just create black bars on the side, you could even use the cropping tool in Final Cut Pro directly. I'll go to my video here. You could go to the bottom and you could properly crop off the right and left side or whatever you need to do using an adjustment layer. So there's a few workflows that you could try there. And I think I haven't tried this with vertical video. That would be an interesting thing to try out. Oh shoot, I didn't show it on the screen. There we go. Your cropping tools here in your video inspector. So anyway, there is a feature in Compressor which can auto crop your footage based off of whatever you've exported in Final Cut. So it will see the black bars and it will auto crop. It works great for letterbox videos, but I don't know for sure how it works with vertical videos. Might be worth diving into. I can't show it right now because I don't have it set up, but yeah, anyway, hopefully that helps. Newton G, I wanted to grab a clean screenshot from the video for my thumbnail. What's the best route? Newton G, I would go in, I would mark the different thumbnails you might want. Let me do this. So I would push M, add a marker, and then when you're ready to export those thumbnails, just go up to your share settings, and you may need to add a destination. So I'll go down to add destination, and you'll see that I have save current frame. Go ahead and just click and drag that over into your list. Set your export settings. I recommend just doing PNG. You can do TIFF, but really PNG is almost as good as a TIFF, and yeah, its thumbnails get crushed like crazy. So I would do a PNG file, and now anytime you need a thumbnail of your video, you just go up to your share settings and go to save current frame. Hopefully that helps you there, Newton G. Oh, and Ben is on it. Legend. He's got all of these. Aaron saying, on the audio note, have you seen some of the ideas around having a roles-based mixer? How awesome would it be to be able to apply effects to roles and sub-roles? Yes, that would be amazing. I would love a full-fledged mixer inside of Final Cut Pro. I'm not even an audio person, but I think it would attract more people to the software. Yeah, that sounds awesome, Aaron. Let's do it. Let's get Apple to do it. Josh, stopping by. Thank you, Josh. Josh is here. He's a legend. Sorry, just tuning in. Now, time to get nerdy about Final Cut Pro. Yes, 100%. Oh, man, I'm so far behind. Here we go. Hachi saying, I use your saber effects twice already in my shorts. That's awesome. I'm glad to see that. And I always love when you guys tag me inside of the shorts and stuff where I use my plugins, because then I really know that it was there. So thanks for doing that. Hi, Dylan. Thanks for all the tutorials for Final Cut Pro and Motion. Do I have any recommendations for denoising plugins other than the built-in Final Cut Pro effect? Graham, I have the ultimate suggestion for you. The best denoiser in the world is Neat Video. Is that it? I think it's called Neat Video. I don't have an affiliate link, but go check out Neat Video. Absolute best denoiser out there. If a footage can be denoised, Neat Video can do it. Or you can also check out DaVinci Resolve if you've happened to pay for the studio version. It does have an amazing denoiser over there as well. Those are the two best I know of. But yeah, Neat Video is incredible. DaVinci Resolve is incredible. Go check out one of those. The Final Cut one is, it's all right. It kind of gets the job done in some circumstances. Golf Quest. Are your keyboard clicks picked up from your overhead mic? For some reason, I love your clicks more than other channels. Nerdy, I know. So I actually use an app called Keybell. This is not going to come through, unfortunately. But basically, whenever I click, it just plays a little sound. I changed it to this mechanical Commodore sound effect, and then click 7, and I lowered the volume quite a bit. So then I just record the computer audio that comes through, and that's how I do all my clicks. And then I have this app called Pro Mouse, which adds this little halo around my mouse, and it lets me zoom in like this if I want to. So those are kind of 2 apps that I use. Peter saying thanks for all the videos from Germany. I got to get over to Germany someday. How can I add a keyboard shortcut for my standard workspace? Ed Parrott asking. Let's see, Ed. So if you ever want to add in a keyboard shortcut, you'll go on up to Final Cut Pro, Commands, and Customize. And this is where things get confusing because normally it's at this default preset. And this default preset, you can't change at all. So if you want to change your keyboard shortcuts, you'll need to go up to the default preset and then select Duplicate. And you'll see I have like 10,000 of these custom keyboard shortcuts. So then once you've created your custom shortcut, you can change these as much as you want. Essentially, you could look up, let's say I want automatic speed. So I've already had this set up, but you can kind of click and drag and then select the keyboard shortcut you want. Here we go. What am I doing wrong? I'm doing something. So like select the key that you want and you could drag automatic speed over here. So it's just like Command Shift C. So you'll just click and drag it and that will create a keyboard shortcut for you. And that will just be saved according to the keyboard shortcut that you select in this commands list. So mine's set to custom. I don't believe this goes to according to workspace. So if you go to Windows, Show in Workspace, I don't think it links to those. So you're going to have to set it separately each time you want to change your keyboard shortcut. Let's see. Ben Peter Smith. Hi there. I wonder if you can create a video on the highest quality export settings. P.S. Please keep up the very hard work. Ben, if you want the absolute highest quality possible settings, just export in ProRes. If you want like literally the highest quality, you do not care the file size at all, just do ProRes 4444 and you'll be set. That it's as close to uncompressed basically at that point. It's massive file sizes. But if you're going for just simply great looking quality, high quality, I just use the Final Cut Pro's built-in settings. Unless it's like I've got confetti on the screen or something, it works great. So it's easy to think that you need higher numbers, but really people are consuming it vertically on their tiny phones. I don't have my phone with me. It's on the tiny screen. That's how they're watching their videos while they're sitting on the toilet or something. So if you're exporting because it's your magnum opus, it's your best video ever, then maybe do ProRes. But yeah, that's kind of the world we live in. Rev VFX is asking, how much do I earn from YouTube? That's a great question, Rev. So basically from ad revenue, I make around, it was for quite some time, $1,300 a month, which is amazing. That's incredible. However, as of September 1st, my ad revenue is just plummeted. So I went from making around $30-40 a day down to like $10 a day, I think. So fortunately, ad revenue is far from my main source of income. So that's okay. I can keep doing what I'm doing. Thankfully, I have my incredible patrons who really help keep this channel going. And I've got my plugin sales, I've got my sponsorships, so I have a ton of affiliate sales. There's just like a bunch of revenue sources, and that's the way you want to build a channel, because at any time YouTube can just cut off, your sales can go way down because advertisers aren't advertising as much or something like that. So yeah, that's kind of how much I make. Rex VFX, sorry, not Rev. Let's see. Asking German. Let's see. Oh, Santiago is asking, I already did the 1080 by 1350 project. How would be the best way to export it? Sometimes it exports in a different format. Greetings from Ecuador. So, Santiago, again, I would take a look at compressor because there is an auto crop feature. I'm not 1,000% sure it's going to work with vertical, but I would check that out. Yeah, can I open? How fast is this going to open? I'm going to take a sip of water. Okay, let's take a look here. So, if I wanted to, if I don't have a video file in here, let me find a video file. Footage. So I have this video footage in here, and if I wanted to change it, I would select it. I'd go over to my video options and scroll to the very bottom, and you'll see cropping, padding, and rotation. So in here, let's see, where is that? I've used this a million times, unless they removed it. There was an auto cropping feature, and maybe it's just because it's not. I don't know. That's a great. I gotta figure that one out. So yeah, there was an auto cropping feature here in compressor, but I'm not sure where it went. And it would trim off the edges, which was super nice. And I used it for vertical videos, but now. Or, sorry, not vertical videos. I used it for letterbox videos. Get rid of that watermark. Maybe if I do 0. Well, you can set it to 4:3. Preserve. Maybe it's preserve source aspect ratio. I don't know. That might be the option. Try preserve source aspect ratio and see if that does it. I would do it under cropping. Oh, it's not there. I don't know how I found that. But I would recommend setting up, if you could set up a perfect crop inside of compressor, that's going to auto crop it for you, which would be really handy. So you would just have to dial in how many numbers here on the left and right side. Hi from Colombia. Hey, over to Colombia. Thanks for stopping by. Patrick is asking if I still make ad revenue if the viewer is a YouTube Premium user and doesn't see ads. Yes, I do make pretty much it pretty well equals out to be the same if somebody's a Premium user. I love Premium. I use Premium all the time. So that's good, dude. What's my RPM normally? I think it's around $8. Is there a way to click through my LUTs, not to click every single LUT to see the results? Dennis, that is also a great question. Unfortunately, I don't think so. I think my friend Brad West had a great method of saving them as an effects preset, and you kind of get a little preview down here if you save them as an effects preset. So that is one way to do it. You could also take a look at the free plugin for Motion VFX, which is MLUT. I think it's just MLUT. And that gives previews. I don't know if you can import your own LUTs or not. Also, Color Finale, I believe, lets you preview LUTs. And Cinema Grade lets you preview LUTs. So you can check out any of those plugins and see if that works for you. Oh, Ben is on it. Legend. You should be on here streaming. Choose the letterbox area of source. This detects the black edges. I don't know why I missed that setting, but thank you for finding that, Ben. Wordplay asking if I would consider a DaVinci channel. I have very much so considered it. What I've come down to right now is I just don't have the bandwidth. If I ever get to the point where I can consistently hire out for editing on both channels, it would probably be I'd hire out for the DaVinci editing channel. I'm not sure. If I can get to that point, I will strongly consider it because I love DaVinci, but I love Final Cut Pro more. Hey, Santiago, I'm so glad that you like the channel. Thanks for asking your questions. Thanks for all the content, FC Bro, and also really top from you for being so close to your community. Keep on the great work, and greetings from Austria. That's pretty sweet. Oh man, I gotta stop doing that. I keep hitting my scroller. There we go. Beautiful. Ecamm Live. Oh, Rex Effects saw me on Envato Elements. That's cool. I didn't know that ad came out. So, yep, I guess I'm part of that ad. I wanted to see the final thing on that. Earn monthly from Envato affiliates and how their affiliates works. Rex, I cannot speak on their affiliate program. That's just part of non-disclosure agreements. Otherwise, I totally would. Let manager from Color Finale is what Patrick is saying. Let's see. Affiliates usually give you a percentage of sales up to a certain value or length of time. Yep. Ben is on that here. In Motion, if you set up a rig for text, for some reason the rig works within Motion, switching between different text options. But then in Final Cut, it doesn't switch. Any idea why? Let me show that on the screen here. Let's see. If you set up a text, the rig works within Motion. I'm not quite sure if I understand what you mean by that, Golf Quest. Maybe you can further iterate on that. Whoa, I made it all the way to the bottom of the chat. Hey, Den D, thanks for stopping by. Appreciate that. And thank you guys for 67 likes. I appreciate that. There's 45 of you still hanging out here. What a fun life to get to just sit at my computer and talk to people. What is my main source of income like for my main job? This is my main job, Dennis. So my main source of income is my plugins, which I'm very grateful for you guys picking those up. So that's my main source. But with YouTube, you kind of have like 5 or 6 different income sources. So yeah, but YouTube's my main income source. So there you go. Oh, let's see. Maybe this is what Golf Quest was meaning. Cycle through fonts and colors, for example. Let's see. Rex VFX. I honestly, I couldn't share how much I make monthly. It's all over the place with YouTube. So I wish I had a solid number on that, but it's at a point where I'm very grateful it pays my bills. Let's see. Oh, let's see. Where can we find a good editor for children's educational videos? Juva Kids, that is a good question. That I don't know. It's hard to say because I'm a lot of my editor friends are also YouTubers who are that's how they make their income. All of us editors just jump onto YouTube and then that's all we do, and we don't use our skills for anything. There's probably forums. You could probably go onto the Facebook forums and ask editors if they're interested. I do in my Discord channel for my patrons. I have a little spot where people can post jobs, but nobody's used that yet. So I don't know if it works or not. But yeah, I can't say I have a definitive spot. It depends on the level of quality you're needing too. Because I do know a lot of people jump over to Fiverr, but I don't know, kind of the quality over there is just all over the place. So you might get somebody who's edited for one day and you might get somebody that's been editing for 50 years. It's really all over the place over there. Wordplay gonna cop some plugins. Hey, thanks so much. I appreciate that. Let's see. Golf Quest is saying, so for example, I'm setting up a score option and a par 3, par 4, par 5, and I rig the text to say different options in the dropdown. It will switch in Motion, but it doesn't show up differently. Oh, in Final Cut Pro? Oh, that's a good question. I'm not sure on that, Golf Quest. Yeah, that should show up. One way you could get around that, it's not going to be the most optimal way, but instead of making the same text layer be changing the text, you could theoretically duplicate that text layer, type in par 4, par 5, whatever, and then just change the opacity on each layer according to what you want. That would be how I would get around that. I'm not sure why it's not working in Final Cut. That's a great question. Could be a bug, but yeah, maybe that workaround works for you. Santiago asking how often I do these lives. I'm trying to do them at least once a month for my patrons, and then hopefully at least once every other month on the channel. But really it comes down to when I'm able to, because my schedule is just all over the place. So sometimes I have all the time in the world. I am about to gear up and really work hard on a Apple Motion course, so I don't know what my schedule is going to look like. It's all over the place when when I feel like it. My plan is once a month for patrons, once every other month for the main channel at least. From Bosnia, hey, thanks for stopping by, Danis. I appreciate it. No actual preset text options. You have a title that you want to have an option to switch between text strings you always use. Yeah, again, hopefully that works for you. Rex VFX, I have links in the description. The very topmost one is my Zooms plugin. And it's also, if you can go to finalcutbro.com, thefinalcutbro.com, or you can also go to thefinalcutbro.gumroad.com. They're two different stores. It's complicated. It's awful. I hate it. I want everything on one page, but the problem is that I need to maintain both so that people get updates on both. So, and sometimes one store isn't working, so I'll send people to the other store. It's a mess. Someday I'll figure it out, but yeah, you can go to one of those places. Be careful, everyone asking about my earning secrets. Honestly, money is money. I think people shouldn't be scared to talk about it. It's important that people get paid what they're worth, so I don't mind sharing what I can share. Do I recommend the iPad Final Cut or Luma Fusion? Good question, Saif. I haven't worked personally very much with Luma Fusion, but I can say the Final Cut Pro on the iPad experience, it's very, very good for editing on an iPad, but it's missing a lot of the core features that I would like to see to call a professional app. I have no doubt that Apple is going to bring it up to snuff and it's going to be just the absolute best video editor on the iPad. But I have heard many good things about Luma Fusion, and I'm sure it's easy to recommend from people who are using it. Oh yeah, Rex VFX, that's true. I do on Patreon. I try and do at least 2 downloads a month. I've been getting close to 3, I think, lately. But yeah, I try and at least do 2 downloads, and these are the stuff I cover in my motion tutorial. So I'll show how to create a cool MKBHD background, or how to create a text animation, and I always package those up and give it to the patrons as well. Let's see. For color grading, is Rec 709 LUT required first, then grading? Gerardo? Good question. So color grading is something that I'm just not an expert in, so I try to not share too much. Basically, though, in Final Cut Pro, like, I have an ugly shot here that's not been balanced. Let me go ahead and get my screen up here. So, the basic workflow in Final Cut Pro is that you always want to I'll apply color wheels onto this shot, and then you'll apply your correction LUT underneath that. Okay, so the reason for this, I'll go ahead and apply my correction LUT. That gets it back to a Rec 709 image. If I were to take these color wheels and apply this underneath, these color wheels are affecting a Rec 709 image, so it doesn't have that extra dynamic range. If you really watch this light here, and I drop the highlights, you'll notice how everything's getting dark all at the same time. So I should be seeing more detail in this light here because I'm dropping the highlights, but because we're grading this Rec 709 image, we're losing that detail. So instead, put that color wheels above, and now you'll see how it's completely changed the image. If you look at the light, the detail is still there. And if I just keep adjusting that, you'll see how like it blows it out, brings it in. So you get all of the extra dynamic range when working with a S-Log shot as long as you have these color wheels above the custom light. It's extremely important that's above. Then it comes down, some people say you should do your color rating afterward once you balance it in this first color wheel shot, and then you do your grading underneath. So you would add additional color grades underneath the custom LUT. I am not a color expert. I can't speak to that. So I don't know the proper official workflow that the pros use. That's how I do it. I apply my color grades underneath this correction LUT, but I could be doing it wrong. So I'm not saying that's the definitive way to do it. That said, I would check out my friend Dylan John's amazing course link down in the description for 10% off if you use my code. And I have not got to that part of his tutorials, but I know he covers all of this stuff. So, Mr. Camera Junkie stopping by. Hey, thanks for stopping by, brother. Thanks for bailing me out the other day on the one live stream. Let's see. Definitely copying the motion course. Yes, I'm so excited. Once it's done, I've never done a course before, and I really want it to be just amazing and so worth every cent. So I got to figure all that out. Let's see. Dennis is asking what computer I use. I have all the specs of my computer down in the bottom of the description because I always forget. Let's see. I still haven't found a way to extract EXIF info of photos to show up in a slideshow. Roy's, unfortunately, I don't even know. That's not even something I've ever had to do, so I have no idea. I think you might have asked this question before, on a comment or a live stream or something. But I unfortunately don't know a way of doing that. That to me sounds like maybe you would need a third-party app that can do that can kind of bake it into a separate file. But I have no idea how you would possibly do that. Motion be having me stuck, no pun intended. Hey, I do have a playlist with, I think it's over 70 or 80 tutorials now about motion. So if you want to start learning motion, go check out that playlist on my channel. It'll at least get you started somehow. Stuart asking, what are my thoughts on the AI revolution what we're experiencing right now in regards to post-production? I think AI is super cool. I think it could easily get out of hand, and we got to keep it in check. But I'm not concerned about it taking away our jobs. I think it's going to free us up a lot as creators. I've been using AI regularly to clean up shots. Rather than me having to dive in with a clone stamp and try and get everything matching perfect, I just type remove. It's done. It's saved me hours of labor, and it's made a better product in the end. So I think AI is awesome, and I think it's important to learn how to use it properly. But I do think important checks need to be in place with AI because it could go crazy fast. Thank you for all the kind answers. I truly appreciate it. Keep it up. So glad you stopped by, Rex. Vincent saying, hey, what's going on, Vincent? Mr. Camera Junkie, he's got me. He's a legend. Why don't I make videos about tech also like Marquez? You would have more subs, I think. Dennis, that's maybe the tech space it's pretty saturated. I think maybe I could lend a different angle on it. But honestly, I'm not, like, tech is cool. I like tech, but it's not the thing I'm most passionate about. The thing I'm most passionate about is literally just teaching people how to edit videos. That's the thing that is the most fun to me. And so if I'm doing anything else, it would be, yeah, sure, I could do it, and maybe I could make more money with it. I don't know, get free gear, but that's not what's really important to me. What's important to me is a very healthy work-life balance. I want to be able to spend time doing stuff that I want to do. And I also love teaching video editing because to me it's so cool getting to see when somebody makes a video using a technique you showed or something, and it's like, man, that's crazy. They learned something like that. That just makes me so excited. So I could do tech videos, but it's just not who I am deep down inside. It's not the thing that I'm like the most passionate about. You can even ask my friends. I've gone to NAB with them, and it's like all of these cameras that are $100,000 that you get to play around with and stuff. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. I like my camera and I'm good with my computer and whatever. So I don't know that tech is the thing I'm drawn to the most, but I do enjoy it as far as being able to use it to tell better stories and stuff. Scythe asking, is there a near update for Final Cut? I have no idea. I wish I knew. I will say we do have the latest macOS update coming very soon here in, I forgot the official date that releases. That's coming soon, and that's coming with a lot of object removal stuff in photos, or not, maybe not object removal, but it auto cuts out stuff. So I would be very curious to see if Apple really ups the level of quality that the scene removal mask has in Final Cut. That's my expectation. I think that they released the scene removal mask a little bit too early. I'm not totally sure the reason behind that. I think they should have held off until these later macOS updates come out. That said, I have no idea. I have no inside info there. I'm wishful thinking at this point. Oh yeah, and Ben sharing, it's rare to know about upcoming updates. However, the Pro Video team managed to update us on average every 7 months, even if it's small. That's actually a good bit of info to know, Ben. Thank you for sharing that. However, Final Cut Pro for iPad will likely be getting more regular updates as they build on V1.1, which will usually mean Final Cut Pro for Mac gets companion updates. I think you're right, Ben. Piano looks dope. Hey, thanks. I'm glad. It used to be here because it helped me, relieve stress. I'd play piano and stuff. But then I got a dog that really, 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 really hates the sound of piano. Like, just hates it so much. And so I can only play either with headphones or not at all. So it's now a prop. Is that a weighted keyboard? Yes, it is weighted. Will there be an update in Final Cut Pro iPad? Because of how it is now, it's hardly any useful. That is a good question. I do foresee a update to iPad coming soon, but I have no idea when. You might say the dog is dog tired of it. Yep. You are barking up the wrong tree there, bud. No. Anyway, this stream has gone, it's almost been 2 hours. That's crazy. I should wrap this up because I have more video editing to get to, but this was super fun. Thank you everybody who was able to stop by and ask your questions. I definitely want to do more of these. I love these Q&A streams because I can just keep the Final Cut Pro info going, and it sharpens me up. I'm always learning new stuff. So yeah, thank you everybody for stopping by. There are links to my most used plugins down below. There's links to my own plugins. There's links to my friend Dylan John's color grading course. There's all sorts of links down below to the stuff that I find really useful. So if that's interesting to you, go check those out. But yeah, we will see you on the flippity floppity hippity hoppity, whatever you say. So thanks again, and can't wait to see you on the next video, which is coming out on Monday. We'll see you later.